In this example, we're going to solve this equation. We're going to do it by factoring. And we have 2c to the fifth minus 32c equals 0. And the first thing we do when we're solving an equation by factoring is to make sure that all the terms are on one side and that equation is equal to 0. And in fact, it is. So the next step is to take a look at this algebraic expression and decide how we're going to factor it. Well, it looks like we can take a greatest common factor out to begin, and it looks like that's going to be 2c. So when I factor out that 2c, it looks like I have c to the fourth minus 16 left. And this here seems to be a difference of squares. So c to the fourth is a perfect square, and 16 is a perfect square. So I can go ahead and factor those down as c squared minus 4 and c squared plus 4. Well, you'll notice again, c squared minus 4 is another difference of squares. So let's go ahead and factor that also. So c squared is a perfect square and 4 is a perfect square. So we'll factor to c minus 2, c plus 2. And right here, this factor is c squared plus 4. This is the sum of two perfect squares, which does not factor over the real numbers. So you can factor it using complex numbers, but that's kind of beyond the scope of this video right here. So we'll just leave this right here. All right. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4 factors. And so I know that when I multiply all 4 factors together, I get 0. So the 0 property of multiplication tells us that, at least one of these has to be 0. All right, so I need to set each factor equal to 0 to kind of accommodate that. Well, here, if we divide both sides by 2, c equals 0. Here, if we add 2 to both sides, c equals 2. Here, if we subtract 2 from both sides, c equals negative 2. And as we stated before, this is going to end up with complex roots, so I'm going to kind of ignore that for now, because again, that's beyond the scope of what we're trying to do here. So what we're left with here are these 3 values, and it looks like we have c equals 0 and plus and minus 2. So these will be the 3 real number solutions for my equation 2c to the fifth minus 32c equals 0.